All right, so this is the new Zerotech Micro Prism sight. Really quick before people start freaking out, gun is clear. Now really quickly, I do need to disclose Zerotech did send me this optic for free. I did not pay anything for it. They also did not pay me anything to make this video or anything of that nature. They simply sent me the optic for testing and review to get feedback and provide a unbiased review to y'all, the viewers, and whoever's watching this video, so you can make an informed decision on if you want to purchase this optic, if it's for you, and that sort of stuff. So I try to stay as unbiased as possible with this stuff, but just know they did send me the optic free of charge. So for those who don't know, Zerotech historically started out with like high-end rifle scopes and stuff. They were mainly based in Australia, and they targeted the Australian market. They have now moved into the American market. They've since made a lot of really good red dots. If you want to know about those, I've got videos up about those on my channel. But now they have decided to make a micro prism. So what is a micro prism? So essentially think about if a red dot and a scope had a baby, and that's sort of what a micro prism is. So it's not a red dot. You still have eye relief on the optic, but the eye relief is very forgiving, and it's a one-time magnification on it. So there's no magnification. And the main benefit of having a prism sight is for somebody who might have like an astigmatism or something, where if you are using a typical red dot, the dot itself can get like sort of starbursted, or you'll get streaks in it, and it just doesn't look good. And if it's really bad, it can be hard to use. So that's sort of one of the main benefits with a prism sight here is the reticle itself is etched. So the reticle is always there. If you don't have the illumination on, the reticle is just going to be solid black, but it's always going to be there. It's never going anywhere. And so even for somebody who might not have an astigmatism, that has its benefits. If you're really bad about changing batteries, something happens, the reticle is always going to be there. So you don't have to worry about, if you forgot to change the batteries or whatever the case may be, and you go out to the range and all of a sudden you can't shoot because your red dot is dead. So really quick, I'll have the specs here up on the screen. I don't want to bore you too much with that, but some notable ones are going to be, it's made out of 6061 T6 aluminum. They quoted at 5,000 hours battery life, and it's going to have 13 adjustable brightness settings, including 3 night vision settings. So I haven't been able to test it at this point with night vision, but at some point I'll get around to that and probably let you know on Instagram what my findings are with that. Really quickly, let's go over what you get in the box from the factory. So it's a pretty nice box. It's got the labeling here on one of the sides of it, tell you what it is, what to expect. Also, by the way, that is what the reticle looks like right there. So I don't know the exact size on the outer ring, but it is larger than, or it appears larger than an EOTech. So you get, I believe it's a 2 MOA center dot with a large outer ring with the hash marks. So in the box, you're gonna get the optic. Obviously, I currently have it mounted. So when you open it up, you'll get greeted by a little thank you note. Basically, it has a QR code on it to scan. For the instruction manual, you'll get a little neoprene scope cover to put over the top if that's your thing. A little cleaning cloth, little microfiber cloth branded with Zerotech, super nice. I believe they put those in pretty much all their optics. And then you'll get the hardware for all the different height mounts included in the box. And then obviously you get 3 different variable height mount. So you get a 1.1, 1.4, 1.6, and a 193. So the 1.1 is just the typical like mount, I'm gonna assume, and then you get the variable heights to it. So the mount itself is 2 bolts that go across in a small little square there in the middle. So I'm not actually using this right now. I have it on a Unity riser, which is another kind of feature I guess I'll point out really quick, is the optic uses a T2 footprint. So to my knowledge, at this point, this is the first prism scope that uses a T2 footprint. So if you have T2 mounts already and again, maybe you have an astigmatism or something like that, and you want to switch over to a Prism sight, you aren't going to have to rebuy new mounts. So big plus there. Now, I'm not using the included mounts, obviously. I've got it here on a Unity riser just because I want to keep the height over bore and the sort of connection to the rifle the same between this rifle, which is what I use for like testing stuff, and then my work rifle, which is, I've got an EOTech on that with a Unity riser, so it's the same 2.26 height. So I don't want there to be much of a variation between my rifle setups. So that's why I have it on this. The mount that comes with it works fine. It's got all the different variable heights you would want included in the box, which is super sick, and no issues there. Now, this is not a complete in-depth review guide. This is just a simple description of what this optic is, what you can expect, and my initial impressions so far after having about 500 rounds through it. Not anything super crazy. It's not a in-depth durability, longevity test, but so far it has been working absolutely perfectly. So I don't really have that bad of an astigmatism going on. I can use an EOTech pretty much totally fine, no issues there. But this is the first Prism scope I've actually really used, and it's been great so far. I took a class within my department recently, and it was a high-risk vehicle stop class. There was some force on force included in the class, and I had actually forgotten my work rifle, but I had this with me, so I actually used this rifle in the class with Prism scope on it, and I was kind of rushing to get everything set up, you know, get my rifle, my gear, all that stuff, and I forgot to turn the optic on before we did the scenarios. So I went through the scenarios with no illumination on, and it was perfect because I could still use it even with no illumination. The target acquisition was perfect. The optic worked perfectly. So I really liked the large ring on the outside with the center dot because it allowed you to sort of drag the scope over to where your target is, and you can sort of use the outer ring as a reference point of like when you're going to be centered on the target. So it's super easy to transition over to a target that presented itself and deal with it. So now when it comes to live fire shooting it, also really great performance. I didn't notice the sort of like wobbling that you get sort of with like an LPVO sight that would have eye relief like this. You know, with my experience in LPVOs so far, all the ones I've shot from primary arms to zero tet to vortexes to all that stuff, if you're really running the gun hard and fast on a close-up target on the one power setting, you can kind of get the eyebots kind of bouncing around a little bit. I don't notice that with this like pretty much at all. I mean, I kind of have it set up a little bit weird. The Unity mounts is a little further back, so maybe that helps, but I didn't get the eyebots jumping around when I was really running the gun hard. And, you know, even though this has eye relief on it, it's never been an issue to try to get your head properly behind this. Like, just for reference, all the way pretty much right up on the optic here, I can see through it fine. Obviously, there's a lot of black around the edges, but I mean, you can see through it fine. Nothing obscures your sight picture. And then all the way back to here, I mean, all the way back here, I can see the optic. The outer ring and the hash marks kind of take up the majority of the thing, and they almost disappear outside. And obviously, as you move it around, it gets quite wobbly, but you can see through it perfectly, like at pretty much any distance. Now, when it comes to the brightness of this guy, again, it has 13 brightness settings is what it says, with 3 night vision. So you effectively have 10 daytime settings. Now, it's not going to be T2, you know, red dot bright. That's not what this is. But, you know, when I was shooting it and the footage in the background, it was a partly cloudy day. The sun came and went throughout the day. And so when the sun was blaring down on us, the red started to kind of fade out. But again, it's an etched reticle, so you still have the reticle there. You never have an issue seeing the reticle. You just lose the brightness a little bit. But when it was cloudy, the brightness was fine. You could see it. It was usable. I do wish maybe there's, like I've said in pretty much all the other zero tet videos, I wish there was just maybe one more brightness setting up to just sort of negate the brightness going away on a really, really bright day. Now the glass on this guy, see if you can kind of see, super clear, not really any tints to it. I don't notice any sort of distorting with the reticle or the image towards the edges. There's not really any like fisheye or any sort of weird image distortion like that I noticed with it. So the glass is super clear. That's one thing that's been really consistent with all the Zero Tech optics I've used so far, from the Thrive red dots to the Vengeance 1-6 and then to this guy. Now, being that I am a police oriented channel and I sort of direct my content towards police officers, would I recommend this in a duty capacity, you know, for a law enforcement officer to use? The short answer would be it's a little too early to tell. A little bit more of an in-depth answer would be so far so good, and yes. I did do a small little durability test on it at the range, which I'll roll that clip here in a little bit, but so far I haven't noticed any issues with the durability of the optic itself, with the body, the buttons, the turrets, the glass. Everything seems to hold up pretty well so far. I would personally run this on my duty rifle if I could. My department unfortunately has policies that only limit us to carry certain optics, so I can't run this at this point on my duty rifle. But you know, coming in at, I believe right now with Black Friday, it comes in at $249, and then usually it's $299 in price. So I mean, if you're looking for a more budget optic, you have an astigmatism, you want a prism scope that uses a T2 footprint, this would definitely be a good option to look at. From my testing so far, again, it's not in depth. We'll have to see how everything holds up over time, but so far everything on it looks super, super good. And I mean, compared to the only other prism sight that I know that's worth anything would be the Primary Arms. You know, I definitely like the aesthetic of this one more. It's sort of like a red dot, but with eye relief, you know, just the way it appears. So now really quick, let's cut over to the short little durability test I did of it. Quick disclaimer though, when I got this and I mounted it, I went out there and just started shooting. I didn't actually zero it because when I started shooting it, it was just kind of on. It's not perfect. You'll see that in the test. The optic is a little bit off just from the start. And again, that's because I hadn't zeroed it. I just threw it on here and wanted to start shooting with it immediately. I didn't want to waste time and ammo trying to zero it. I know it's a short process, but I honestly just hate zeroing optics. It's not one of my most favorite things to do. So that's the quick little disclaimer. Let's cut over to that, and then I'll give some final thoughts. Let's do a quick little durability test on this thing. I've got a steel plate out there. We're probably about 40 to 50 yards away from it. Really quick, let me show y'all where that's at. You can see it. Right, not that one. It's right over here. So, I get up on this VTAC, get some, just did a good accurate shot, kind of see where it lands. Again, I actually haven't zeroed this. It was just kind of on, so I'm just gonna remember where I hit, and we'll see if there's any sort of deviation on it after sort of bouncing around a little bit. Aim for the head butts on this first one. Okay. So, showing how I haven't zeroed it. So, to hit in the direct center of the body, I have to aim left edge of the steel plate. So, really quick, clear this thing out. Let's see, safe and clear. It's just, I don't know. Whoops. Drop it on the ground there. Let me see if I can get it to hit on the VTAC here. Shoulder height. That was a direct hit on the top of it. The windage elevation seems to be fine. Let's Knocked it around. Giving that some good hits right there. Let's do one more drop test just for the hell of it. All right. So, illumination still works. Body is pretty much good. No real major dings. I mean, I'm hitting against wood. It's more so just to see if anything's gonna mess up internally on this. Sorry, I've been having some back issues. Let's see if I still hold left edge. Yeah, that was stats with the other one. Yeah, those are all just stacking in the center. All right. So, I mean, pulled a couple shots, but I mean, in terms of the optic, I was holding in the same exact spot. Let's go over really quick and take a look at the target. So, I'm aiming kind of right around here with the center dot, and you can see they're all just kind of grouped up right here off the right. So we're at 50 yards. I wouldn't expect a dramatic change in the zero, even if it had shifted. But I mean, based on the grouping there, I don't think it shifted at all. So for $2.99 at full price, usually it's on sale, but for $2.99 you get a Micro Prism sight with a clean reticle, clear glass. It comes with all the variable heights you would want out of the box. And so far, the durability seems totally fine on it. No issues with it. I really don't think you can get a better optic in that price range. You know, there's other manufacturers that make prism scopes that are fairly popular. I myself am not a fan of the aesthetics of those. Are they usable? Do they work good? Yes, probably. I don't have much time behind them, but Zerotech is a fairly new company here in the US markets, and so far everything I've seen from them has been super good. The red dots, again, if you want to sort of get a little bit more insight into the durability of their glass, go watch my Thrive HD red dot video, because I smacked that red dot up against rifle rated steel. I think it was 6 times, and I was giving it a good smack, you know, using it to rat the slide. And it did get some chips in the glass, but the glass didn't shatter, and it was still more than usable. So I'm assuming, I can't confirm this, I'm assuming they're pretty much using the same glass in here, multi-coated, all that fun stuff. And, you know, the clarity of it looks the same. The sort of tint it has on it looks the same. So I don't really have any concerns about the glass, especially because the glass is fairly recessed inside the optic on both sides. It would take a very specific situation to happen for something to get in there and like hit the glass directly. So all in all, again, this is a very, very brief overview of the Zerotech Micro Prism. Not a full in-depth review guide, all that sort of stuff. It's, again, still too early to tell exactly how durable the optic is and how it's going to hold up over time. But so far, no issues with it. And my time behind it has been great so far. I actually really enjoy shooting with this optic. So go check it out if it's something that interests you. Again, I don't have any sort of discount code for it, unfortunately. You know, Zerotech did send me the optic, but I don't have a discount code. They didn't pay me any money. So I try to be as unbiased as I can with these things. So if it's something that interests you, go check it out, pick one up, all that fun stuff. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.